The night was unlike any other night. The sky was clear, and the moon poured its silver light over the calm sands stretching to the horizon, where the pyramids stand tall as if they still guard time itself. The air carried something mysterious, something that made the heart beat slowly, as if breath were drawn from the depths of the past. There, a few steps away, the Sphinx sat, half man and half lion, staring silently at the horizon as it has done for thousands of years, its eyes glinting under the moonlight as if it knows a secret no one else knows. I stepped closer, and with every step I felt the earth pulse beneath my feet, as if whispering, "Welcome to the land of immortality." The night lay still over the sands, and the stars twinkled in the Giza sky as though witnessing a secret that is thousands of years old. In front of me, the pyramids stood silent, yet they spoke in a voice the heart could hear rather than the ear, as if every stone bore a commandment from the past. I lifted my head toward the pyramids and felt very small before them, yet they did not frighten me. They sheltered me with their grandeur. I heard the echo of history in the silence. I heard the voices of the pharaohs as if they spoke from between the rocks. What is built to remain will not perish. I looked to the horizon, and there the grand Egyptian museum appeared, shining like a jewel risen from the heart of the desert, a magnificent building embracing the sky with its majestic geometric angles, as if a natural extension of those ancient temples. I approached it, and with each step the sense of awe increased. It was not merely a building, it was a gateway into another world, a world in which time has lost its way. The massive stone, the precise angles, and the light flowing over its facade seemed to tell the tale of the original light known to the ancient temples. I came even closer until I stood before the great gate of the Grand Egyptian Museum, a gate befitting a civilization made to endure. The glass reflected the lights, and the pharaonic symbols carved into the walls seemed to watch me, as if they knew I was not just a visitor, but a descendant returning to the embrace of his ancestors. That moment of approaching it felt like approaching the very heart of civilization, to a place that holds not only artifacts, but the soul of Egypt itself. Every step toward that gate felt like a crossing from the world of the present into the world of the eternal. I opened the gate slowly and entered. Suddenly, everything changed. The air became warmer, as if you were breathing from the chest of history itself. The first thing I saw was the colossal statue of Ramses II, standing there in all his majesty, lifting his head as though surveying his kingdom again. It was a moment unlike any other. I felt I stood before a living king, and that the statue was not made of stone, but of an immortal spirit watching over you and reminding you that you are in the presence of glory. I stood before him for a long time, looking at the features that still pulse with life despite more than 3,000 years passing. How much genius was gathered in one face, strength and serenity entwined. This was not just a statue, it was an eternal proclamation of sovereignty and greatness. I felt that I stood before a man who was not only a king, but an idea, the idea of an Egypt that does not die. From here, the real journey through the museum began. The corridors are wide, the lighting subdued and solemn, the walls telling stories in a language not read by the eye, but felt by the heart. In every corner there is an object, and in every object, a life. Before me stood the statues of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, three kings assembled by history in a moment of silence. Their faces were steady, their gazes unchanging, as if they still ruled the world from behind the glass. I continued walking until I reached the golden hall where the treasures of Tutankhamun are displayed. There, the golden pieces shimmered under the lights, as if still holding the glow of the sun the pharaohs believed in. The golden coffin stood at the center of the hall, surrounded by masks, jewelry, and miniature war chariots. Every detail spoke to you that beauty for the ancient Egyptian was not luxury, but a belief that the soul deserves eternity. Then I entered the royal mummies hall. The silence here had another character, as if time itself had stopped out of respect for those who once ruled the world. The faces of kings and queens and ministers lay at peace, yet their presence filled the space. I stood before the mummy of Seti I and saw his preserved features that had not lost their dignity after thousands of years, and I felt that the closed eyes hid a story of a ruler who witnessed the unimaginable. Beside him, a remarkable artifact, the mummy of Queen Hatshepsut, who defied masculine norms to rule Egypt with wisdom and immortal grandeur. I moved on to the hall dedicated to daily life in ancient Egypt, tools of agriculture, cooking utensils, jewelry worn by temple women, even toys children played with thousands of years ago. Here I did not see mere artifacts, but a full life still beating behind glass. At the end of the corridor, a soft music filled the air, a sound reminiscent of priests' chants in ancient temples. Before a large panel depicting the journey of the soul in the Book of the Dead, I stood long. The hieroglyphic words danced on the walls as if still alive, speaking of justice and the heart being weighed against the feather of Ma'at, and of the belief that truth is lighter than the feather, and that those who lived with justice need not fear the balance of eternity. These silent paintings spoke with unending wisdom, reminding us that humanity was created not to persist physically, but to be immortalized through truth and beauty. I raised my gaze to the museum's great glass dome and saw the dawn light slowly seeping through. Then I understood that the journey was not only between halls and statues, but a journey into the depth of the self, into an inner place reminding you of who you are and where you came from. I left the museum, and the sun began to rise above the pyramids once more, as if Egypt whispered to me in a soft voice, "All that you see here was not merely a past, but a pledge of immortality." I continued walking the corridors, and with each step, I felt I sank deeper into the heart of history. I reached the hall dedicated to the royal mummies, and there, amid an atmosphere filled with silence and awe, the faces of true kings met me. Seti I, Ramses III, the great Thutmose, faces that speak wisdom and majesty. Even in the stillness of death, they bore the pride of life. These mummies were not lifeless corpses, but a majestic presence reminding you that the pharaohs never truly died. They merely changed the form of their existence. Each mummy there told a tale of struggle, of rulers who reigned, judged, and built, then returned to settle here in the embrace of their homeland among descendants who did not forget them. I left the hall slowly, as if my soul refused to leave, and headed toward the galleries dedicated to everyday life in ancient Egypt, where the details of the people who built civilization with their hands are displayed. There were agricultural tools, writing instruments, musical instruments, and children's toys crafted thousands of years ago that still astonish with their precision and beauty. Little statues of workers, farmers, soldiers, and priests seemed to have stepped out of stone to continue their lives within the museum halls. In that moment, I realized that civilization is not only what kings make, but what people create in the details of their days, in their work, in their belief that beauty is a form of worship. Then I reached the mural art hall, where hieroglyphic engravings tell the great stories and sacred rituals. I approached a panel depicting the weighing of the heart in the afterlife and saw the heart weighed against the feather of Ma'at. I felt before me an entire philosophy of life. The ancient Egyptians did not leave us merely a religion, but a conscience. They believed that truth is lighter than the feather, and that those who lived with justice need not fear the balance of eternity. These silent paintings spoke with unending wisdom, reminding us that humanity was created not to persist physically, but to be immortalized through truth and beauty. I advanced toward the Hall of Scientific Secrets and saw surgical instruments, measuring devices, and star charts used by priests and astronomers thousands of years ago. I was astonished by their precision and their profound understanding of the cosmos, the human body, and time. Near one exhibit was a simple carved eye symbol on a stone, a symbol that in reality represented knowledge and protection. The Eye of Horus, which accompanied Egyptians in their temples, tombs, and homes. I contemplated that symbol for a long time and remembered that this civilization was not mere history, but a cosmic school that led the world with its imagination and thought. In another corner stood a collection of coffins intricately decorated, some of gilded wood and others of carved limestone, each bearing hieroglyphs reciting prayers to the gods, as if voices from the womb of time calling for eternal peace. That moment mixed majesty with serenity. I felt I stood before a doorway between two worlds, the world of the living and the world of the eternal. The ancient Egyptian viewed death not as an end, but as a rebirth. I then moved on to the Royal Arts Hall, where unique exhibits displayed the elegance and refinement of royal and noble life. There I saw crowns studded with precious stones, golden necklaces and scepters, symbolizing authority and power. Each piece was an artwork speaking of unparalleled taste and precision the modern era finds hard to rival. Each gemstone sat as if placed with heavenly knowledge. When the pharaohs fashioned beauty, they did so not to adorn, but to consecrate. Next, I reached the Royal Boats Hall and stood amazed before Khafre's majestic vessel. I imagined it slicing through the sacred Nile, carrying the king's spirit toward eternity. These boats were not made merely to sail water, but to sail time, to carry messages of faith and rebirth and immortality. I understood then that the ancient Egyptian did not view river and sea as mere nature, but as pathways toward the light. I continued my journey to the language and writing galleries and found original papyri preserving the secrets of ancient Egypt, medical scrolls, astronomical treatises, and legal texts, as if reading the minds of the pharaohs inked in black on paper preserved by the sun. Hieroglyphic writing was not rigid letters but a living art, a visual music that breathes on the walls. I reached out to touch them and felt a tremor in my fingers, as if the old words whispered to me, "Preserve us, for we are your memory." As I wandered between halls, I was struck by the statues of gods, Isis, Osiris, Horus, and Anubis, symbols of light, protection, and rebirth. Their faces emanated calm, as if their mission remained, that the message they carried persisted, and that Egypt still holds its light despite the passing ages. At that moment, I felt that these deities were not mere religious icons, but mirrors reflecting the ancient Egyptian spirit that knew not fear, but sanctified order, beauty, and justice. At the end of the tour, I reached the grand atrium that anchors the museum, where the light from the high ceiling mingled with the solemn silence that filled the space. I sat there reflecting on all I had seen, all I felt, and all I learned from my ancestors who built this miracle. I realized that the Grand Egyptian Museum is not merely a place of display, but an open book written by time itself, telling the story of humankind that sought to forge immortality with its hands. I lifted my head to the glass roof and saw sunlight streaming in, like the same light that entered Karnak and Abu Simbel ages ago. I felt time paused for a moment, and I knew that in that instant, Egypt was not the past, but a perpetual present. I stood at the great entrance, looked back, and saw statues, gold and stone gleam as if calling me to stay. Then I looked outward where the pyramids stretched in the distance and the Sphinx remained silent, smiling with that inscrutable gaze no one can explain. I walked toward the gate, feeling with every step that I left a piece of my heart there. I stepped out into the quiet night, the wind moving over the sands as if playing a farewell tune. I looked back at the museum, and it seemed to me like an undying flame, a sacred fire guarding the nation's memory. In that moment, I whispered to myself with pride and reassurance, here in the land of Egypt, history never closes its door, because those who wrote history did not depart. They wait inside it every time we return to discover who we truly are.